Assalamu alaikum. I hope you guys are well. Uh, we're going to talk about critical theory. So, what is critical theory and why do we need it? These are the questions that we are going to, find answers for. So, what is critical theory? Uh, we can say that our ways of thinking, uh, the different lens through which we look at the world, the different frameworks through which we process, or the different frameworks through which we think about the things that are happening in our world. Uh, they all, come under one big framework, which we call critical thinking, or when we theorize it, we call it critical theory. But essentially, in critical theory, we talk about ways of thinking. We talk about different lenses through which we look at the world. We talk about different frameworks through which we try to understand the world around us. So it is essentially, a way that helps us to think about the problems in this world, the problems that we are facing as people, as human beings, as people from a particular class, as people from a particular gender, as people from a particular country. So we think about different problems that we face, or we can also think about the different kind of privileges that we may have when we talk about critical theory. So we think about the problems that we face in this world, and we also think about the solutions. What are some of the creative solutions to our problems, and how can we think about those solutions? What kind of frameworks can we use to think about those solutions? What kind of lenses we can opt for to think about those solutions? Then it also helps us to respond to the problems, and to respond to the problems in meaningful and well thought out ways. So it's not just responding to a problem. It's about responding to the problems that we face uh, in meaningful and well thought out ways. There are some questions that we ask when we are talking about, when we are talking about critical theory. And these are, some of the general questions that we can ask in in any problem or in any situation. Who has the power? Who controls the power? Who possesses the power? Who benefits from the system? Who gets exploited in or by a particular system? Is the system fair? Or is it fair that some peoples are getting benefit from a system and some people are exploited by that system? Is that fair? These are the questions that we ask. And then we also ask, who is at an advantageous position and who is at a position of disadvantage? Uh, s- Moving on, so then we also, ask these questions. How do the power relations work among the social classes, among the genders, among the different countries? First world, mostly the former or current colonizers, and the third world, mostly the formerly or currently colonized people. How do the power relations work among the social classes? How do the relations work among the genders? How do the power relations work among the different countries, right? How do the power relations work between human beings and the natural environment? These are some of the questions that we ask. So, if we have to break them down one by one, so power relations among the social classes. Which social class possesses the power? Which social class possesses the resources? Which social classes get exploited? These are the questions that we should be asking uh, as educated individuals, or as people living in a particular society. Then whose labor produces the resources or generates the money, and who owns the money? These are some of the deeper questions that we should be asking about the system in which we are living, about the economic system in which we are living. Then we talk about power relations among the genders. So imagine walking in a park. What kind of concerns arise in your mind? Which of those concerns are related to your gender? For instance, if you are a man and you are walking in a park, you want to walk in a park, you would just uh, go out and walk in the park. The most you can think about is weather. Is the weather too cold or is the weather too hot? Am I wearing proper clothes according to the weather? These may be a few questions that you would be asking yourself. But if you are a woman, you would be asking, is it safe to walk in a park? Am I wearing clothes that are not only appropriate for weather, but also appropriate for the people walking in the park? Is there such a thing as appropriate clothing? And is that fair for one gender to go through these concerns when they think about walking in a park or going to a university or going to a class or going to a shopping mall? These are just a few examples. Which genders enjoy privilege when it comes to choice in the matters of dressing, movement, or careers? These are the questions that we ask when we are discussing power relations among the genders. Then, which gender is mostly responsible for domestic or care work with or without a career? So, do all the genders work equally uh, in home, in domestic spaces? And when we talk about the care work, the care that we give to our family in terms of preparing food for them, in terms of taking care of them, um, is there one gender who is mostly taking the burden of this work, or is the burden divided equally? So these are some of the questions that we ask, or we should be asking. Then, next comes the power relations among the nations. Do all the countries hold same power in the world? Um, which of the countries possess more resources, and where did those resources come from? So we don't just ask the questions which countries possess more resources. We also need to ask the question, where did those resources come from? Is it fair to steal or usurp other countries' resources through colonization and imperialism, through war? By usurp, we mean, to take somebody's resources by force or by power. So, is it fair for the first world countries, to steal other people's resources, their oil resources, their land resources, their natural gas resources, their water resources, through colonization, through imperialism? Um, should the developed countries really be called the developed countries if their development resulted from theft? I mean, if they stole those resources from other countries by force and then, developed themselves, should we really be calling them developed countries? These are the questions that we should be asking as citizens of this world, as people of this world. Then, the next question is the next concern is power relations among humans and their environment. Now, this is very important. Can environment be exploited for human progress and development? Is it okay to exploit the environment? Is it okay to pollute the river water in the northern areas to maximize the profit coming from tourism? Is it okay to cut the trees and destroy the parks to make roads and plazas? Is environment an active agent or a passive agent in human life? What are the possible consequences for environmental destruction? Should progress and profit come at the cost of environment? These are the questions that we should be asking to ourselves, to our systems, and as you know, people living in this world in this current time. That's all about critical thinking. And there are theoretical frameworks, there are theoretical lenses uh, when we think about these questions, when we think about these problems. So we can talk about those frameworks, we can talk about those lenses at another time. And for now, it's more important, just to think about these questions.